What up, and welcome back. Episode 10 of the Golden Era. We're on the 27-28 NBA season. The Golden State Warriors have just lost Steph Curry, Klay Thompson to retirement after they won the fifth NBA championship in franchise history since 2020. Both of them will retire with 8 NBA crowns, and it is the official dawning of a new era in the NBA. The first part of that new era is the introduction of two new teams. The Las Vegas Reign and the Seattle Sonics are entering or re-entering the NBA, which moves the Memphis Grizzlies to the Eastern Conference. As such, of course, we have the expansion draft. Julius Walker, the former Atlanta number 5 overall pick, an NBA champion with the Hawks, left unprotected and is taken with the first overall pick. He'd worn out his welcome in Atlanta. It'll be a trend of his career, very Dwight Howard-esque since he came into the league. Now his personality is doing the same. Let's jump right into the NBA draft, and this is a class that's led by the main man is D'Angelo Ion and Jacoby Cleaves. These are all NBA upside wings that teams hope to try to add here. The third best player likely is Zane Bennett. He's more of a power forward center depending on where you are looking to put him at. The Clippers, they're going to jump from 6 to number 1. The Suns go from 4 to 2. The Wizards end up at 3, and the Blazers fall down to 4, with the Sonics and the Reign ending up at 5 and 6. So that sets up the Clippers to potentially take either Ion or Cleaves. Now, Ion, he's hailing from UCLA. He's a Los Angeles native. He's well known in and around the area. Meanwhile, Jacoby Cleaves, he's a guy that comes from Arizona State. So it's two players that have ties to the teams at number 1 and number 2. In the draft itself, D'Angelo Ion is going to go first overall. He, as we said, went to UCLA from Los Angeles, grew up in Southern California. It's a perfect fit for him, and Jacoby Cleaves ending up at number 2, the Arizona State product. Some big names coming in at the later part of the draft. Tobias Bell ends up being an all-star caliber point guard, and Tariq Wheeler, he ends up going to the New Orleans Pelicans at number 32. That's technically the last pick of the first round, but Wheeler, top 5 prospect coming out of Kentucky, tears his ACL while he's at school. He ends up falling all the way to the end of the first round where the Pelicans take him, and it ends up to be really a really positive pick. Meanwhile, the Warriors, they take Keon Fogg in this draft with the Bucks pick, and then the Jazz, they actually deal Joel Embiid to the Hawks for the 21st pick. Lewis Rooks ends up being taken there. Fogg, ton of injuries with the Warriors. He really struggles to find the floor. Ends up having a bit of a resurrection later in his career, but a real disappointment and a big miss by the Warriors. All right, let's move to the offseason. Seattle, they want to win now, so they go after and sign Michael Porter Jr. to a 4-year deal. Restricted free agents, they get offer sheets matched. Could that be a sign of things to come for Jason Sanders as he returns to the Cavs, but he signs an offer sheet with the Bucks that would have paired him with Dwayne Qualls? Of course, the Cavs weren't going to let that happen. Meanwhile, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander says, hey, I saw what KD did back in 2016. Let me do the same thing. He departs Oklahoma City, joins Golden State in a signing trade that sends Ben Simmons to the Oklahoma City Thunder. So Simmons immediately excommunicated the Warriors and billed him as the future of the Warriors post Steph Curry, Klay Thompson. They say, you know what, SGA might be a little bit better. So now over in Oklahoma City, it's Cade Cunningham, Ibrahim Mobley, and Ben Simmons along with DeAndre Ayton to lead the charge. Let's move to the regular season where the Knicks kicked off things at 23-3. Detroit goes 23-4. But the real story were some pretty big deals at the trade deadline. The Grizzlies, they get the former number 1 overall pick in a 3-team deal. Marcel Hampton, you'll remember him from the summer of 2024. He was acquired by the Sacramento Kings when they sent De'Aaron Fox to New Orleans. Now he's going to the Memphis Grizzlies. As part of that pick, the Kings end up with a 2028 first from Memphis, and the Sonics loop into that to get Justice Winslow in 3 seconds. Meanwhile, this is a name to watch. Thunder get Dante DiVincenzo. Why? Because in a couple playoffs, he's going to make an absolutely monumental play for the Thunder. They use 2 first-round picks to get that. It's their own and a Rockets first. During the regular season, though, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he deals with some knee injuries early on. He ends up returning in March, but that does hurt the Warriors in terms of their overall standings. They end up with 52 wins and the third best record. Meanwhile, the Thunder, they win 60 with this new team. 4 teams end up with 60-plus wins. 3 of them in the Eastern Conference. Let's move to our award winners. Tre Hunter gets his first MVP for the Orlando Magic. Jonathan Isaac, Defensive Player of the Year. All NBA teams, they start to look a little bit different. Tre Hunter, he's going to be first team. Jonathan Kuminga is going to be the first year of a stretch in which he's an all-NBA first team forward. He is going to be maybe the best forward of this coming up era in the NBA. Anthony Edwards has a phenomenal year in Charlotte and gets his first team nod as well. NBA playoffs, Dallas, they fall to Golden State for the 3rd straight year in the first round. They now have 7 first-round exits. They led that series 2-1. We're still in at best of 5. New Orleans, though, they get revenge on the Warriors in this conference semifinals. They win in 7 games. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he's lost in Game 2 of that series. Jonathan Kuminga, though, in those playoffs, he has his the second 50-point triple-double in NBA history in Game 3. It's all for naught. New Orleans builds a 3-2 lead, and then they blow them out in Game 7. All of this sets up Cade Cunningham, Ja Morant for the NBA Finals. And it is a statement of a Finals for one Ja Morant. They lose Jaren Jackson and Dillon Brooks, hard to believe, second and third best players. That's the hard to believe part. But Ja Morant carries them nonetheless in Game 5 with the series tied at 2. Cade Cunningham is an absolute no-show, 8 points in that game. And then in Game 6, it's Brandon Clark hitting a go-ahead three-pointer with 32.7 seconds left to seal it. Before that shot in the series, Clark was 3 of 15 from deep, but none bigger than that one. A back-and-forth, exciting series. Ja Morant puts on an absolute show. And the Memphis Grizzlies, for the first time in franchise history, are NBA champions. Coming back with Episode 11, 28-29 season coming up next.